Have you ever had something to give and kept it hidden? Not because you didn't want to share it, but because a voice inside you said, "Who are you to offer this? What if they see it and see how ordinary you really are?" So you stayed quiet. You kept your idea to yourself. You said, "I'm not ready yet." You said someone else will do it better. You said maybe one day. And one day never came. This is the story of Lena, a woman who hid everything she had for 31 years. Until one Saturday morning, a stranger asked her one question, and everything changed. Once upon a time, in a busy city, there lived a young woman named Lena. Lena was 31 years old. She was kind, she worked hard, she was talented. But Lena had one big problem. She did not believe she was enough. Lena worked as a graphic designer at a large company. Every day she went to work. Every day she sat at her desk. Every day she did her job quietly and carefully. She was good at her work. Very good. But nobody knew, because Lena never showed them. In meetings, Lena had ideas. Good ideas. But she never spoke them out loud. She told herself, "The idea is not ready. It needs more work. Someone else will say something better." So she stayed quiet. One day, her colleague stood up in a meeting and shared an idea. Everyone listened. Everyone nodded. Her manager said, "Excellent thinking." Lena looked down at her notebook. It was her idea. She had mentioned it quietly 2 weeks ago. No one had listened. But she said nothing. She told herself, "Maybe I didn't explain it well enough. Maybe it wasn't that good after all." Lena carried a small sketchbook everywhere she went. It was full of her drawings, her designs, her ideas, beautiful work, page after page of it. But no one had ever seen it. Because every time Lena thought about showing someone, the voice came back. "It's not good enough. You are not good enough. Wait until it's better. Wait until you are better." And so the sketchbook stayed closed. Always closed. One afternoon, Lena's manager called her into his office. He sat across from her and said gently, "Lena, I know there is more inside you than you are showing. Why don't you speak up more?" Lena smiled. The same smile she always used. "I just want to make sure what I say is worth the team's time," she said. Her manager looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. After the meeting, Lena sat alone in the bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror, and she asked herself the question she could never answer. Why can I never believe I am enough? She had asked this question many times before. She never had an answer. She just knew the feeling that everyone else had something she didn't, that everyone else was ready, and she was still catching up. She took out her sketchbook. She looked at the cover. She did not open it. She put it back in her bag, and she went back to her desk. That Saturday morning, Lena went for a walk. She passed the local library. In the window was a small handwritten sign. Community Art Morning. All welcome, no experience needed. Lena almost walked past, but something made her stop. She stood outside for a moment. Then she pushed open the door and went in. Inside, people of all ages sat around tables. Some were painting, some were drawing, some were just sitting quietly with paper and a pencil. Lena found an empty seat. She did not take out her sketchbook. Instead, she picked up a loose piece of paper from the table and began to draw something small, just to have something to do with her hands. An old woman moved slowly between the tables. She had silver locks, warm dark skin, and calm, steady eyes. Her name was Mrs. Adisa. She had taught art for 40 years. Mrs. Adisa stopped at Lena's table. She watched Lena draw for a long moment. She did not speak. Then she said quietly, That line you just drew. You did not hesitate. Why? Lena looked up, surprised. I don't know, she said. I just drew it. Mrs. Adisa nodded slowly. Exactly, she said. You just drew it, before the voice had time to stop you. Lena stared at her. Mrs. Adisa pulled out a chair and sat down beside her. May I ask you something? She said. Lena nodded. What are you carrying in that bag that you have not taken out since you arrived? Lena looked down at her bag. Just a sketchbook, she said quietly. It's nothing special. Mrs. Adisa looked at her with calm, steady eyes. May I see it? Lena's hands tightened on the bag strap. It's not very good, she said. Mrs. Adisa did not move. She just waited. Finally, slowly, Lena reached into her bag. She placed the sketchbook on the table. She did not open it. She just placed it there. Mrs. Adisa looked at the closed sketchbook. Then she looked at Lena. Who told you it was not good enough? Lena opened her mouth, then closed it. No one had said those exact words. Not recently, but the voice had always been there, for as long as she could remember. And then a memory came. She was 9 years old, her classroom, a teacher holding up another child's drawing in front of the whole class. Now this, the teacher had said, is what real talent looks like. Lena had looked down at her own drawing, and quietly, she had turned it face down on the desk. She had never turned it back over. Mrs. Adisa spoke softly. When did you first decide you were not enough? Lena felt tears building behind her eyes. I was 9, she whispered. Mrs. Adisa nodded gently. She did not rush. She did not fill the silence. She simply waited. Mrs. Adisa said quietly, You have been carrying that classroom your whole life. A 9-year-old's conclusion about a moment that lasted 30 seconds, and you have let it define 31 years. Lena looked at the sketchbook on the table. Mrs. Adisa placed her hand gently on it. May I? She asked. Lena hesitated. Every part of her wanted to say no, to take it back, to put it in her bag and walk away. But she nodded. Mrs. Adisa opened the sketchbook slowly. She turned the pages one by one. She did not speak. The room was quiet around them. People drawing. Morning light coming through the library windows. Mrs. Adisa turned the last page. She looked up at Lena. This is not the work of someone who is not enough, she said. She closed the sketchbook gently and placed it back in front of Lena. This is the work of someone who was never shown that they were. Lena looked down at the sketchbook. She opened it herself. Slowly, page by page, and for the first time, she tried to look at it without the voice, just the drawings, just the work, just the pages. And what she saw made her breath catch. It was beautiful. It had always been beautiful. She just had never allowed herself to know it. The following Monday, Lena sat in the team meeting. An idea formed in her mind, clear and strong. The voice started immediately. Who are you to say this? What if it's wrong? What if they look at you the way that teacher looked at you? Lena took one slow breath. She thought of Mrs. Adisa turning the pages of her sketchbook, quietly, carefully, without judgment. She thought of the line she had drawn without hesitating. Before the voice had time to stop her, she raised her hand. I have a suggestion, she said. The room turned toward her. Her voice was steady. She shared the idea. Clearly, simply. There was a moment of silence. Her manager nodded. That is exactly the direction we needed. Good thinking, Lena. It was not a standing ovation. It was not a dramatic moment from a film. It was just a person who let herself take up a little more space. That evening, Lena sat at her kitchen table. She took out her sketchbook. She drew something new, and when she finished, she did not close it and hide it. She left it open on the table. Just open. Just there. This story teaches us something quiet and important. You were not born feeling not enough. You learned it. In a classroom, at a dinner table, from a comparison someone made when you were too young to know it wasn't true, from a moment that lasted 30 seconds, and somehow became the story of your whole life. But here is the truth. The fact that you worry about whether you are enough is itself proof that you care. And people who care deeply always have more to give than they know. The work you are hiding, the idea you keep to yourself, the part of you that only comes out alone in the quiet, that is not your lesser self. That is your real self, waiting. You do not need to become enough. You need to stop believing the voice that told you that you weren't. So today, ask yourself honestly, what are you hiding that the world needs to see? What idea, what talent, what part of yourself have you been keeping closed, like a sketchbook no one is allowed to open? And ask yourself one more question. Whose voice is that, telling you it's not good enough? Because it was never the truth. It was just a moment, and a moment does not get to define a life. If this story touched something inside you, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Voice of Life Tales for more life-changing stories every week. Thank you for being here. See you in the next story, with new lessons and new hope. Until then, open the sketchbook.